Explosive news and presidential prediction, folks. I wanted to do this live. Polls show Liberals under going to be Carney by the end of tomorrow. Shows a prediction Trump made many months ago. He said, I quote, when the media hit him about Pierre Poilievre, and Trump immediately pushed back and says, if he's even gonna win, I don't care about the other guy. I don't care if he's even gonna win. He cut the media down quickly as they're trying to blah, blah, narrate some kind of Canada that Trump himself knows not to be true. He doesn't like the media. He knows the foreign interference led by the country of Canada. News agency, Sun Media, conservative, far-right conservative media, far-left liberal media, all controlled by your government, effectually trying to foreign interfere in Donald Trump's presidency. Do you think he cares, conservative, liberal, or any other crown? He does not. He knows they're all one and the same. He called it out many months ago. I don't care about the other guy if he's even going to win the election. At that time, Pierre was enjoying more than 230 seats in the parliament out of 338 against 5 parties. We've watched in 3 weeks. Not only has that disappeared and dropped 40 seats a week, it is now role reversal, especially with Carney coming. It looks like Carney's going to stormroll an election and win a liberal majority. As of today, it's looking like a liberal majority over the Conservatives. Maybe even better than what Trudeau has right now. As scary and as impossible as that is, Canadians are rallying against Donald J. Trump and the idea of the 51st state. Trump already knows. He knows you, Canadians, better than you could ever know yourselves. Why? Because America's much, much older than you, and Donald J. Trump is a genius. He can read large volumes. He can process that information. He's got a whole team assembled, almost entirely brought together. Strong government, strong mandate. House, Senate, confirmation still got to go, lots still, but he's got about 2/3 done now. Very strong, very mighty indeed. And he had a plan, quietly reserved over 4 years. He kept quiet, zipped his lip. And then he hit it hard when he got his mandate. Americans, and I hate to say this, I know you like your president knows us. I know you better than you know yourselves. And a lot of folks are waking up to that reality. I was on a Twitter space briefly yesterday. Folks tagged me in it. And Americans going, wow, Trump isn't going to be able to get Republicans to move. You don't get it. You don't know your system, your highest laws. There is an amendment called the 22nd Amendment of the United States of America. Now, I know Americans have great civics training. My friend Benjamin Ebley, I should have tagged him actually in this. He went through a lot of civics with me that, Dave, whoa, hold on. There's things you don't know about American civics and education. This is what was hammered home. This was in our history. Not that it's a major, at least they go through the Constitution, but they don't hit certain things that you've hit so hard. Americans on average don't know these things. One of them is the 22nd Amendment of the United States of America in 1947 granted President, not Congress, the power of treaties solely in response to the UN, the end of World War II. And they said, you know what? We need a president who can act fast because we can't have socialist, fascist regimes compromising America and moving too quickly. We need a president who can cut that off cut that off quickly. And the American people voted in a very tough amendment procedure process. They can't easily be undone. It's a major majority. And there is no major majority to undo President Donald J. Trump, who has told all his Americans, hang on, you may not understand it today, but you will understand it in the many decades to come. You will understand the work I did here. A brilliant, brilliant man. And he's got Canada by the gonads. He knows America and what America needs, and he knows Canada better than Canada will ever know itself. Not really possible. Not everybody. There's a list of us. We're very small. Most people on this list of understanding and knowledge don't live or reside in Canada anymore. They're south across the border, enjoying very great and prestigious positions inside the United States of America, making out large, not paying the taxes they'd be paying here. And in fact, they have better positions in the United States than they could ever get in Canada. And rightfully so. But folks, this is reality. This is coming. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, has more tools in his toolbox than the Congress, Senate, maybe not the judiciary, but the judiciary is going to side with Donald J. Trump. It wouldn't matter if it was interpretive or if it was originalist. Writings on the wall, the Constitution is clear, the amendments are clear, and the judiciary can't interpret it any other way. And in fact, common law, the law of precedent in the United States shows us that is true. That's reality, whether you were a Democrat or a Republican president, just by those precedents since 1947 set by the Supreme Court. So I'm sorry, Americans, there is nothing you're going to be able to do. I try to, not highlight too much of this to piss Americans off or appear, because I know our different legals speak, you can really appear to them to be condescending or ignorant. But the reality is this is true. And it's not to be ignorant. It's a highlight of your civics, your legal system that I did not create. Everything I do in all my work is on legal systems as they really are. I navigate political structures and countries as they are, not how I wish them to be, or start going with flights of fancy, or interpreting systems according to my country, which has no authority. I learn international law. I learn every country that I work with as it is, how it legally works. Like a machine, I take it apart and I learn it, I master it. I've mastered the United States. I've also mastered Canada, some other countries too. I just did an international law class, got a designation. I know many, many countries of the world. I've perfected that. I understand their systems as they are. Again, not as I want them to be, but by their best legal minds, explaining it and teaching that. Every strong academic from so many countries have spent years on this to make sure I knew the truth and that I was on the right path, the legal path to whatever I go with. And Donald J. Trump has rolled out an agenda. And there's a legal path to that agenda. That's what I present. That's what he's presenting. And he will use every legal means. Many American academics right now are telling you that there is a crossroads in America, America hit, and you're stalled out by divisionary political actors. And it's a volcano ready to explode in America. But guess who was the release valve? Guess what? A majority of your best minds, your number 25, top 25 American highest authority academics in the United States say, they all concur that there is a pressure release valve so that America doesn't explode and end up in some kind of revolution. It's called the presidency. And you've got a genius for a president who's being the release valve for all the Americans. through executive authority, he's giving the American people their release valve because the American people elected him, and he's using every single trick at his disposal like no president in a very, very long time. I'm not going to say no president because there are master crafters, high genius caliber presidents who've been elected to do this before in history. It's just been a very, very long time in American history since Americans have seen that. And what does executive mean? What do the American people have in common with the President of the United States? They all have executive authority. Americans have the right to executive authority. And what do I mean by that? Legislative branch crafts the law, judicial branch interprets the law, and the executive branch executes the law. Americans have the power to execute the law at the most basic level. This does not exist in Canada at all. We're subjects that was taken from us. It's called monopoly of force. Something America, father of America, Connecticut ordinances said, no way, we're never going to do that. They did that as a colony 13, 1630. All Americans should read that. That is the father of who you are. That was the red line in the sand facing that French side against those colonies. They said, whoa, we're not going to issue monopoly of force, meaning the crown gets to enforce the law and the people don't, or don't have any say in it. That was the birth of America, before America, but many years it would lead up to the Revolution. Almost 150 years before, Americans in the 13 colonies who were British subjects said, no, we're taking a crossroad. That's the true father of America. The difference between America and almost everybody else in the world entirely. First to do it, first to take the crossroads. Then there was a French-English war. Monopoly of force became part of the British Empire after defeating the French. It wasn't really a defeat because they merged two crowns. They took monopoly of force, and for the first time in British history, the British Empire said, yes, we will take that French system. Monopoly of force, 1724. And again, America made the mother of America chose to say, we're not doing it. You can all go look at that. It's on my timeline. I give you those historical mother and fathers. Another ordinance America did not follow. And that was the stage set that it was time to get ready for revolution. 150 years in the making before America's War of Independence, but it really hit post 1724, 1725 for America, and they went their direction that led to the War of Independence. They never changed direction. Your president, Americans, knows it all accurately. He studied all of it. He's a genius level human being. The kind of person that rivals someone like James Madison, George Washington, and several others, founding fathers. Donald J. Trump is probably the smartest president we've seen since probably, I would have to say, Richard Nixon. I know people say, well, Richard Nixon. So I don't know how high Donald J. Trump's IQ is, but you got to be pretty high to be operating and at a presidency level, reading and understanding all of that that's in high academia. You've got some seriously high IQ here in a presidency. And that's what's happening, everybody. He has so many tricks in the toolbox, the first being, as was explosive as it was, hammering Trudeau, who couldn't even press release that ball and like a baby run to the king. A lot of people getting that right. Americans still don't see it, that you can't stop your president. That is in his lane. Those are your laws. You, the people, mandated him with your power to execute the law. Your power to execute the law, you have invested in your president to do it. He's not breaking the law, he's executing the law. For all of you, a pressure release valve, decolonize Canada, stop all the evil, save America. And he's doing it. And we're going to see, Trump said that the Liberals would win. He was expecting they would win months ago, facing a conservative mass majority that held for so many, many months, over a year. And it all eroded overnight. Because why? Because Donald J. Trump knows Canada better than Canada knows itself. Genius. And he's going to break Canada. Ottawa down, meaning the Parliament of Canada, getting disposed of, getting literally a flag of America planted in the sand. What's all the MPs going to do at that point? You've lost your federal government. Oh, we'll make a provisional. What are you going to be, a 75-year territory like Louisiana? Like the Spanish territories? Took upwards of 50 to 75 years to straighten all that out. What are you going to do? Share this video. Deadly accurate. We put in a pile of links I've been making all day for everybody, letting them stew on the brain. The link's in the title. All three of those I made. You've got to say, how do I easily predict all of this for so many months? How did Donald J. Trump predict so much for so many months? Pair of people who know the system inside and out. And you don't get that from having a team of people. You get that from your own brain and your own reading and your ability to interpret. Donald J. Trump is high IQ. And I think people need to give him a lot of credit. This guy is a powerful mind. Very well read, very well understood. Haven't seen that in the presidency in my lifetime. Not in my lifetime. What does that tell you? God bless everybody. Share, share, share. Deadly accurate, deadly truthful. 51st state. Canada, the 51st state, is his only objective. Everything else is in the realm of fantasy. Like I told people yesterday, and some pretty smart fellows, I said, you guys are talking about $200 billion of the Canadian economy that runs on revenues of just last year, $585 billion. You're talking about removing a third of the revenue stream from Canada to go back to the USA. Canada can't survive like that in its current form. As a 51st state, that is the only common sense answer. It's the answer that I've seen since December 2nd. No alternative. I understand. I've studied all this. I've written the United Nations Security Council. I've written the United States for over 8 years. Non-stop. Looks like somebody was listening, folks. It looks like the President of the United States, and in at least his administration from the first term, took the 4 years to look at everything I said because they had the time. They're not running the country. They're battling the Democrats, but they're not running the country. They had all the time in the world to process all that. And they have. It's why I'm so deadly accurate, because I've already gone through all this. And anyone can look at my timeline, even though Facebook's tearing down my videos so dramatically and fast. Most views to least views. Newest videos I've made with many, many views will be gone in 4 weeks. There will be no track record. The only thing that saves me is making these slideshows. That's it. Share, share, share. Get it out there. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Exciting, breaking news. Undeniable. Bye now.